Hey guys, Link the Hero of Time 550, and so today I'd like to show you guys all some cool little secrets that I found in many Ocarina of Time boss rooms. I figured this would be a neat video to do just because there actually are a surprising amount of small details that you may not know about that are hidden either out of bounds in boss rooms or just out of sight in boss rooms, so yeah, I figured I'd show you all that. Now first off, I would like to say you may have noticed that some things are already a little bit different. That's because I'm using a ROM called GZ, which is basically a practice ROM for Ocarina of Time, which is meant to help, speedrunners practice tricks and stuff. So there are some cheats in here, like, press L to levitate or press a button to run fast, stuff like that. So if you see me do any of that, just know, it's just part of the ROM. Alright guys, so first off, I wanted to show you guys this cool little part of GZ, which is called Free Camera. And as the name suggests, it lets you, take the camera anywhere you want, boundary breaking. Basically, I want to give a tour of this room without, actually going in as Link. So as you can see, before the first boss even starts, Ghoma's just kind of sitting up here, just not doing anything. Just flashing, I guess. Yeah, so as you can see, she's not moving or doing anything yet. It just waits for you to actually walk into the trigger where the door shuts, and then she'll actually start moving. Now while I'm up here, another thing to point out is that these four pillars around the room, they actually kind of come up and get bigger closer to the ceiling, so I just thought that was a cool little detail. You don't really get to see it much, but I did think that that was kind of neat that, it's something that you really don't get to see too much, as well as the ceiling up here, because there is a kind of, blocked view of it because of all these tree branches here, or whatever they're supposed to be. Alright guys, so I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to show you guys what happens as soon as we walk in. So as you can see, the normal little cutscene plays, where the door closes behind Link, and then that's when Ghoma starts moving. And I do apologize since it's like extremely dark, but yeah, this is the part where Ghoma starts moving, and then if the camera's on her, then she will drop down anyway, so free cam does technically count as the camera, but I think that's about it for Ghoma though, because really, there's honestly not much else to say. There's not a whole ton hidden in the boss room. It's just as soon as the camera lands on her, like I've even figured out that if you use cheat codes to hover up to her, she'll still activate, so it just doesn't matter. As long as the camera sees her, then she will fall down and start the fight. Alright guys, so I just figured I'd show you that, if the camera is on Ghoma at all, then the boss fight will start. So I'm going to use my L to levitate cheat here, and just bring Link really close up to Ghoma. And as you can see, the fight still starts. I didn't even have to hit C up. Alright, so as you guys can see, it was kind of hard to get shots for this part, but as you can see, the maps do get loaded in for all these different parts of the cutscene, which, like I said, the map is pretty hard to get a look at since everything is going by so fast, but as you guys can see, all these maps are actually being loaded in for this cutscene, which I thought was kind of interesting. As you can see, guys, there's also some really weird lighting on Link's hands, and even his face here, because of the Spiritual Stone cutscene. I just figured I'd show you guys that. So, anyways guys, that's it for Ghoma, so let's move on to the next boss, King Dodongo. Alright guys, so before I start, I do want to turn on show hitboxes for this first part, because I actually found out something pretty cool from ZFG. Now, some of these things that I did find in here are actually from ZFG, all these discoveries for the boss rooms, and this one is also from ZFG that I found out. So if you notice, there's no hitbox on the floor for this little piece of rock that you blow up before the boss fight with King Dodongo, and the reason being is because there is one, but it's extremely small. That little like flashing blue square is the hitbox for this little rock that you're supposed to blow up. And the reason it's so tiny is because I'm going to show you guys the hitbox of the bomb. So I'm going to just set one down here. And as you guys can see, once it explodes, that explosion radius is gigantic. Like, it doesn't look that big in the game. I'm pretty sure you could put a bomb anywhere within this square, and as long as the two overlap, then that'll break, and then and the entry to the boss room breaks open. So yeah. Alright guys, so I'm gonna bust out free cam here again, just to show you guys before we actually go into the boss fight. King Dodongo is over here just floating, waiting for the boss fight to start. And I found out that the trigger for the boss fight to start is actually pretty big, because you can hover out of bounds, and as soon as you reach a low enough point, it'll just automatically start the boss fight. Alright guys, so real quick, I'm actually going to show you guys what it looks like once we actually hop down into the boss room. I'm going to show you guys what's actually happening with free cam here, so sorry the camera's so far away here, but yeah, so King Dodongo just kind of comes in as normal, as you can see. Now this part I thought was kind of funny, actually, when you see it. He just pauses for a minute, just stands still. But then, you know, of course the rest of the fight is just normal. Just, you know, your average fight with King Dodongo, not much else going on here, so I'm going to just skip until after I beat him. So here's free cam after we beat King Dodongo. There isn't a whole lot that really goes on that we don't see. He just kind of, you know, does this whole thing where he rolls into the pool, and then he just kind of morphs into shape. And then you can see that the lava just kind of slows down and then becomes safe to walk on. So there really isn't a whole lot to show about that, but what I think is pretty cool is actually after King Dodongo dies, his texture changes completely, and if you actually take the camera underneath the ground, you'll see that this whole new weird texture is just all over his body. And I just thought that was something a little bit neat that you really don't get to see in the game as is, so I just figured I'd show you guys this. Alright guys, so here's the cutscene after we beat King Dodongo. So as you can see, Link kind of just falls straight to the ground, and he just lays there. He just doesn't even get up. So as you can see, when Link just quickly gets up, and then, you know, he just starts giving him the spiritual stone. Anyways guys, so that does it for King Dodongo. Not a whole lot else going on in his room either. Him and Ghoma have some of the more bland boss rooms, nothing really hiding out of sight. So yeah, let's go on to Barinade. So at the start of Barinade's little cutscene here, as you can see, all the jellyfish do actually start around him. Normally you don't really get to see that too much in-game. There's not a whole ton in Barinade's boss room either, but I did kind of want to show this. These little platforms here where all these pots are on, they extend kind of far out of bounds. They really didn't need to go this far out of bounds, so it kind of makes you wonder why they did that. We're going to walk over to the entrance over here. There's actually a wooden door here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn in a Song of Time block here so that we can actually stand up to open the door, because unfortunately if we just try to press L to levitate, the A button does say open for a couple seconds, but we can't actually open it because we're in the air. I'm going to go quickly spawn in a Song of Time block here, and I'll be right back so we can see what's through the door. Alright guys, so I spawned in the Song of Time block here, and now we can actually open the door, so let's go see what's here. Now first of all, I do want to say, once you open this door, you'll notice that the room behind the boss room actually does load, which is kind of surprising. And you also notice that we spawn up here inside of Jabu Jabu's belly, which I thought was kind of neat. Yeah, for whatever reason, it loads this room instead of the room right before the boss room in Jabu, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah guys, so there's really not much else interesting about this door back here. It really just kind of takes you to that one random room in Jabu. And one thing that I would like to mention is that pretty much behind every boss door, the loading zone to leave is still there, which I find kind of interesting because normally you never really can until like after you beat the boss. So I did think that was a little interesting, but other than that, there's really not a whole lot else interesting with Barinade here. So I'm just going to go beat him, and we'll see. There is one small little fact that I do want to say about Barinade. Its entire body is actually always underneath the ground, it's just lowered a little. Now one more small little fact about this boss fight is actually, once you hit Barinade, and Barinade is just completely in the ground, it's actually faster to get shocked than if you were to just wait around for it to get out of the ground. So believe it or not, getting hit actually makes this boss fight go a lot faster. Yeah, so as you guys can see there, after Barinade kind of explodes, That is pretty cool to see in free camera. Alright guys, so this is what the scene with Ruto and Link looks like. As you can see, they are a bit close, and then Link just kind of falls through the tree branch and then swims up over there, while Ruto just waits up there for him. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot else that goes on in this cutscene. Alright guys, so here we are at Phantom Ganon. Now this is one of the first adult bosses, but there is actually some pretty cool stuff hiding in this arena and all. First of all, you actually don't even really need the practice ROM or any kind of cheats or anything to see this. We can just get a better look at it with cheats. But you can actually roll against this wall and then just repeatedly keep hitting C up. And if you can get it while Link's in his roll animation, you'll see that Ganondorf is actually underneath the arena the whole time, or Phantom Ganon actually. But using cheats, like I said, we can actually go in here and get a much closer look at him. And as you can see, he still has the mask on and all that, so still looks like the real Ganondorf, but you know. Now one more thing that I did want to point out is for all the adult boss rooms, the boss key is actually still on the back side of them even after you open them, which I thought was kind of interesting. This boss fight does actually hold a pretty cool secret aside from Ganon is actually under the stage the whole time, and I'll show you guys what I mean in a second. So I'm just gonna get out of the arena so that I can't get hit, and I'm gonna use free cam to look around a little to be able to actually show you guys how it works. So yeah, basically all they do is they just slide the characters up and down the painting, and then just make them bigger or smaller depending on which way they're going. So I just thought that was neat how they actually did that. Now as you guys can see, we're about to get the medallion from Saria. And these are actually pretty big in comparison to Link, as you can see. They're not the small little coins that they appear to be on the sub-screen. They're definitely a lot bigger than the spiritual stones appear in cutscenes. Yeah, afterwards, in this cutscene with Link and the Deku Sprout, you can see Link just getting thrown back. And then he just gets up like everything's fine. And alright guys, so that's pretty much all there is for that cutscene. Moving on to the next boss, which will be Volvagia. Alright guys, so here we are in Volvagia's boss room, and now, just like in the previous boss room, if we go out of bounds here, the door does actually have the lock on it. If we actually go underneath this big stage where Volvagia is on, we can see Volvagia is just here, just waiting for us, just underneath the lava, so. And as you can see, he does still have a hitbox, as I just got hit from, so. Now, as you guys can see, once the boss fight actually starts, just the little pillar behind us starts to fall down. And as you can see, it pretty much just stays under, and then disappears. And then at the same time, Volvagia comes out, and pretty much just starts floating around. And then eventually Volvagia does come back into one of the holes after spinning around for a little. As you can see, he just kind of coils up like a snake, and then disappears, and then goes to the next hole. So as you can see, actually, believe it or not, there are actually two different versions of Volvagia. As you saw, there was like the big long one that went and flew around. There is also this one right here that comes out and just kind of hangs around, and doesn't actually ever come out of its hole. So if we actually go underneath here, as you can see, this is the one that just hangs out, and as you see, it'll just kind of go underneath whatever hole it's in, and its body cuts off just there. Now, one interesting thing is actually if we turn on hitboxes, you will notice that there is all these little circular ones right here. Now this is actually the flying around version of Volvagia. It's just invisible, so all we can really see is its hitboxes, but as you can see, if we touch it, then you will get hurt, so. As I said, there are two different versions. There's the one over there that just comes out of the holes, and then there's the one that comes and flies around, which is right here. Now some of you guys might be wondering what actually happened to that other Volvagia. It kind of just disappears, and as you can see, it looks really weird when the actual one that flies around uncoils. So, it can be pretty strange, but yeah, if you are able to actually get underneath the arena, it is kind of neat just to see like the one that flies around just uncoiling. Now, one thing that you guys might not know is that when Volvagia is just kind of letting all the rocks down, he is actually just flying around at the top of the ceiling there, so even though you can't really see him too well with the camera, he is just flying around up there the whole time while the rocks are falling. Now one kind of neat fact is that you can actually hurt Volvagia while he's flying around in the air close by you by hitting him with either your sword or with the bow, which I didn't know for like a long time of playing this game, so I just thought that was pretty neat. That's also why in Ocarina of Time 3D in the boss rush mode, that's why they actually give you the bow in there, because it might seem useless, but you can't actually hit him while he's in the air. Now you may notice that in this cutscene where the volcano explodes, a lot of stuff is different in Kakariko. Like there's this old lady here, all these bushes and rocks just randomly spread around. I just thought that was kind of interesting. The entire archery shop is gone. Unfortunately, there's not too much time to show you guys all that, but it is some cool things that I thought I'd show you guys. And also in the Chamber of Sages, when they appear out of the ground, as you can see, they just kind of float up slowly. Yeah, so there's Volvagia for you guys. Moving on to Morpha. Alright guys, so here we are in Morpha's boss room. So behind the boss door, there is the, usual lock there, as you'd expect at this point. But there's also actually Morpha's body. Now there is a little bit of collision over here. You can't really see any of it. What you can do is, I'm going to keep save stating a lot here, but you can actually grab the ball for Morpha and just kind of drag it around. As you can see, we're kind of slowly bringing it closer back into the arena before the fight even starts. Now one thing that actually does help with this is I turned on the show collision, and as you can see, sorry about all the flashing over there, but as you can see there actually is just the big ramp leading up to the boss room behind here, still loaded, but this whole entire green plane that you see right here is the loading zone for the boss room, so you have to be very careful around that. Now one thing that we can actually do to get past this is if you clip inside the boss door, you can actually just bring Morpha really close. Alright guys, so once you get to about here, you should just be able to shoot it through the wall. I know this seems like a lot of work for something dumb, and in all honesty it really is, but now we actually have Morpha outside of where it starts. And now unfortunately, as you may have guessed, you cannot damage Morpha at all. It's just kind of stuck, but I just thought it was kind of neat. Now if we want, we can even take our new little friend over to start the boss battle with us. Now this part it is kind of hard to show since the camera's moving. We'll be able to see the moment that things actually change. And as you can see, there's just a big, strange little water screen that shoots out from the water. And then Morpha just teleports right behind us. So that's the part when we can actually start hitting Morpha now. Alright, so let me show you guys a neat little Morpha quick kill that not all of you may know about, but it is pretty cool, I think. Very useful in a speedrun. So first thing you do is you get Morpha, and you just put it in this little corner here, and then just keep slashing. Pretty soon, Morpha should just be dead. And it's a really easy quick kill. It's just, if Morpha gets out of the corner, like it may or may not have done for me, then it might take you a little longer. You might have to bring it back. But, once you get that, then it is a pretty easy boss fight altogether. Now guys, the only thing that you really can't see out of bounds or even know about is just that the water level is just drained just underneath everything, so you can pretty much just swim around underneath, but just enough so that it gives the illusion that it's drained, because you can't actually interact with it at all. Link is kind of just waiting up in the air at this point to fly down into the cutscene, and then Link comes flying down as expected, and then Sheik just suddenly jolts around, and then Sheik just teleports over here. So Sheik just basically backs around from Link, and then suddenly gets teleported up on top of the tree. And now this part I do think is pretty funny. Instead of landing in the water, Sheik just dives headfirst into the land. But yeah guys, so that's it for Morpha. Now moving on to Bongo Bongo. Alright guys, so here in Bongo Bongo's boss room, the boss key lock is still there as usual. Not much else has changed. Alright guys, so now we're gonna actually take the free cam and go see where Bongo Bongo is. Now as you guys can see, it is very barren down here. There's actually no sign of Bongo, but there's a very extremely tiny little hitbox right here. And believe it or not, that is actually Bongo Bongo's hitbox. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like once Bongo Bongo actually appears. So as you can see, he all just kind of pops in at once. And then when the shadow wall appears, it's actually just kind of a box just surrounding him. But yeah, so the game basically just puts a big box around him, big black box, and then it eventually just makes him invisible. As you guys can see, here's Bongo when he's kind of freaking out. As you can see, he has a very much longer torso than we really get to see, but yeah. So then, you know, eventually he just turns all black and then becomes a bunch of like purple particles in the ground and just slams down, which was always really cool to me as a kid, so not much else to really show. Alright guys, so that's it for Bongo Bongo. Now it's time to move on to the final dungeon boss, which is Twinrova. Alright guys, so as for this cutscene, you may notice that the boss door, the key for it is actually pretty glitched out in this, so that's one thing to mention. As you can see, they kind of glitch out when they start flying over towards Link. One thing that you guys might notice in this frame here is that Nabooru's face was actually in the Iron Knuckle model for this. So she is actually shown that like underneath the armor, part of her face is actually there. That's just kind of something neat that I wanted to point out for you guys. And then for this cutscene, as you can see, she just kind of stands up there as soon as the armor falls off. And yeah, so that's pretty much all there really is to say about the fight before the actual battle with Twinrova. Now, just as for pretty much every other arena, as you guys will soon see, they are pretty far down surprisingly. Koyume and Kotake. I'm sorry if I butchered one of their names, but they are actually down there waiting. Now both of them are in the exact same spot, but since their models are so similar, it's kind of hard to show. Yeah, as you can see, it only looks like one of them is there, but both of them are there. It's just they're pretty much the exact same model, so they just look the same. Now if you do want one of them to stay where you are, you can just shoot with your hook shot, and then they'll just stay where they are, so it makes it a little bit easier to shoot them. Just a little hint that I didn't know for a long time of playing this game, but yeah, if you do shoot out your hook shot, then that'll keep the opposite one where they are, so it'll make it a lot easier to actually hit them. Okay guys, so now for this cutscene, when they blend together, really not a whole lot happens, except Link does get teleported for this, and then she does do the wink, and then he does the yeah, so for this scene, everyone just kind of gets teleported to the middle again, and then the two just kind of spawn in and are, you know, actually regular sized again. And as you can see, the light just kind of spawns in from the top and makes the entire room kind of glow. And then there's like this little wind tunnel created in front of them. And so when they float up, they just kind of keep going for a while and then disappear. Really, not a whole lot going on in this boss fight. So guys, that's going to do it for Twinrova. Now on to the final boss of the game, Ganondorf and Ganon. Alright guys, so once we actually walk into Ganondorf's room, not a whole lot to see really. You know, Zelda's up here. Ganon's playing his organ, not much to see really. Although out of bounds it is kind of interesting because Ganondorf's shadow is actually on the ground. And behind the door there is actually no boss key here. And Link kind of just gets teleported up here to refill his health. Now, as you can see, Zelda just kind of pops away there. As soon as Ganondorf stops playing, Zelda's just gone. So yeah, as for this part, there's not much that you don't really see off camera, except, you know, the little purple vortex actually teleports closer to Link once the camera changes. Now, there is one thing that's kind of interesting, is that actually out of bounds here, there is one of these little blocks here that can actually fall down from up there if Ganon hits them. Now also, for those of you who are wondering, these loading zones actually are not here. They're only in the collapse, which while I'm talking about the collapse, I will mention that I will not be covering the collapse just because technically they're not an actual boss fight. I just wanted to show you guys all the bosses in here. And here I am though, just showing you guys that there are no loading zones behind any of the doors in here, so this is one of the only boss rooms in the entire game that once you're in, you're stuck here, even if you glitch out. Now, as for this part in the cutscene, there isn't really a whole lot to say, but as you can tell I am playing on 1.0 because of the red blood that he spit out. And as he stands up, then the room starts glowing, and then everything starts like shattering. I would like to also mention that the textures down here like shatter too, which I think is kind of interesting considering they're not really part of what was up there. Alright guys, so as you all can see here, Link and Zelda kind of just start off in this cutscene just both looking off to the side, not really paying attention too much. But then you can see they're kind of warped over a little bit, and they're standing a little bit closer than the game really originally shows. And then, you know, Link does the thing where he puts like his arm protecting her or whatever. And then once you actually become playable, then Zelda just kind of suddenly turns at you. Now I did just want to show you guys that if you actually look in the rubble, Ganondorf isn't really here or anything. He's not even inside the map at all really, which was kind of shocking to me, not gonna lie. But as you guys can see, the little puffs of smoke are actually kind of underneath the ground here. Alright guys, so for this part I honestly can't say this as a fact or not, but as you guys can see I turned on hitboxes again, and real quick side note, Zelda's hitbox is huge. But anyways, I noticed when I turned on the hitboxes I was looking for Ganon's hitbox somewhere in the island, but instead I actually found underneath in the middle of all the lava this very tiny hitbox, which like I said I'm not really sure on this, but if I had to guess based on all the other boss fights, I'm guessing this is probably Ganondorf's hitbox. So, yeah. But yeah, right before he actually turns into Ganon, things get a little strange, and he was in a very strange position. And as you can see, I kind of lost him here for a minute, but yeah, as you can see, there he is in all of his glory, even though it is kind of hard to see. He just kind of stays in a swinging animation pose when your sword gets lost. Now I turn back on show hitboxes here, just to show you how enormous Ganondorf really is, as you can see all the ridiculous hitboxes on him. Also really quick, one more side mention is just that these are actually made up of 3 cylinders, which doesn't really seem like it, but they actually are just made out of 3 cylinders. And I also did want to see if down here, if there's that strange little hitbox still here, and there isn't, so I'm guessing it probably was just Ganondorf's hitbox after all. Alright, so in this scene, as you can see, Zelda kind of just teleports, and then her light beam just kind of phases through her. But yeah, there's not a whole lot really to say about this scene. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, next is a Link's sword here, once it glows. As you can see, suddenly all the light effects on Ganon. Yeah, so then there's the final blow of the game, which as you can see, Link is actually surprisingly far away from Ganon, and in the last blow, Ganon just kind of pushes his head into it. I hope you guys found this video really informational, really enjoyable. I'm not really going to be covering the credits too much just because there are a lot of scenes in there, and I just kind of want to show you guys around the boss arenas and stuff. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys all, like this video. So yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.